So hey, I'm Sander van Doorn and we're back with another studio sessions, the second one in this series. Today I'm going to explain something about mastering your track. So how to adjust frequencies, how to use certain mastering plugins, and basically how to make sure your track will sound, with the highest possible volume. So mastering is today's subject. Okay, so mastering is kind of like a thing in itself. Some people decide to have a company master the tracks for him. I've done it myself in the past a few times, but I really felt that the track that was mastered wasn't the track that, in a way it was supposed to sound. So I had a different view. So that's why I decided I'm going to kind of really go into the mastering process myself. So make sure that all tracks I produce, I also master myself. So right now we're gonna use the track for myself. You're Not Alone. So what I did, I recorded a pre-master, and I'm going to show you what I've done to really crank up the volume of the track. So I'm just going to go here towards the first drop of the track. Loop this section over here. So basically I've recorded the pre-master minus 10 dB. So I was going to make sure that nothing in a project kind of distorts. So it's as you can see over here, the volume is very low. So when we're gonna add a little volume, I'm gonna kind of put those 10 dBs back. So I kind of opened an equalizer, and what I've done is I've added plus 10 dB. And also what I've did is the lowest frequencies I topped off a little bit. So I've set those frequencies on minus 2 dB. So right now it's a lot higher, but as you can hear, it's distorting a little bit, but we're gonna tackle that part later on. What I also use a lot for the whole image of the track is this track, this plugin over here. This is from United Audio. This particular mastering device is the Shadow Hills mastering compressor. It's kind of it's a really cool compressor where you can actually individually compress the left and right channels of your track. So what I usually use is this one over here, the mastering disc steel. So I'm going to put this on. So as you can hear, the volume lowers a little bit, but the bass line has a little bit more feel to it, and the basic stereo image is a lot better. So this is a really good plugin to use. So basically it's pretty much the standard setting of that plugin. So that's really easy to use. What I also always do is add an Ozone 5. So what you can do is, this is perhaps a pretty cool thing to know, is also a preset called the Housemaster Basic. So if you're gonna put that one on, it's a pretty aggressive limiter right now. It's also a brick wall, so it means that it's gonna compress until 0 dB. So it's off. So this is off, and now it's on. So now if you, it's a little bit more open. The higher frequency are coming out a little bit better, and right now it's compressing quite a lot. So if you think it's compressing a little bit too much, you can adjust the amount a little bit. But I have to be honest that right now it sounds like it's doing a great job on its own. So also this is a pretty standard setting where if you can see over here the multipressor section, everything is pretty much flat out. There's some dynamics put on the track as well. So if this is really cool, you want to make sure that the track sounds really loud in volume. The stereo image is perfect, but you don't want it to distort. So Right now, it's a pretty big difference. So I'm going to show you the difference. So I'm going to copy the pre-master on a track that doesn't have the same plugins on it. So right now, this is the pre-master, and this is the master. So as you can hear, it's a big difference. Also, if you think the Ozone 5 is a little bit too aggressive, you can also always decide not to use it. But right now, if you can see, it's going way over the 6.2 dB. So what I usually use then is a combination with this. So as you can see, this is actually the setting I've used for the Phoenix track I did together with Rehab. And the setting over here is you kind of use the same basic standard setting, but you're gonna put the volume a little bit less. So now it's minus 0.04 dB. The cool thing about this limiter is you actually don't really, it doesn't sound like it is limited. So this is without limiter, this is with limiter. So the volume doesn't actually decreases, but it's no longer distorting. So this is a really cool plugin. Also, when you have like a break section over here where something is coming out of a filter, it usually tends to distort a little bit when you really crank up the volume. The invisible limiter from AOM really kind of prevents that from happening. So this is a really cool plugin. So I think when using this particular scheme of mastering plugins in this particular order, for me it works out really well in mastering my track, as you can hear right now. So and it stays really cool towards every single part of the track. So even in the second drop with a pretty hard sound on top of it, still the master doesn't distort. So this track now I think it's mastered pretty cool. So another plugin I use a lot is also from United Audio. It's the Neve, the 33609. This is a really cool mastering plugin because it puts a lot of focus on the attack of a kick. And that's usually what you want, especially when the drop kicks in. The kick needs to be as firm as possible. So this is a really cool plugin where the ratio is pretty small. The ratio is the fierceness of the compressor itself. So right now it's not compressing that much, but it's doing its job more than enough to make sure the kick has a pretty big attack to it. So as you can hear, actually, I've actually managed now to crank up the mix a little bit more without it even getting distorted. So the Neve is a really cool plugin to use as well. So for me, this is pretty much the scheme I use, the amount of plugins to optimize my track. But obviously, there's a few things you need to take in consideration, and that is the frequencies of your particular track. It's very important that there's a few regions in your track that are very well adjusted. So I'm gonna show you a trick which frequency that actually is. So I'm gonna put in a new equalizer. Here you go. So if you have the track, this one off. There is a section in the frequencies that is causing a lot of distortion when you try to mix down your track, and that's actually this section over here. It's pretty much between 100 and 200 hertz. So if you put the volume down in this section over here, you're going to create a lot of free space to crank up the whole of a track. So right now I've really put out a lot of frequency around that range over there. So the great thing about this is that right now, because by doing this, I can crank up the rest of the track a lot. So I can add a lot more higher frequencies, and the volume of a track usually is based around this area over here. So let me see. Okay. So right now, I'm gonna go back to our original master. Okay, so as you can see here, I've changed the frequencies over here in this section, and I put it off. So like I explained, it's very important that this range gets topped off a lot, so you can increase volume over here. So I'm gonna now show you the difference. Okay, so right now, this is as it was. So as you can hear now, it's a lot higher in volume without it still distorting. So perhaps it's a little bit too much. So I'm going to increase a little bit more of this. Right. So this is without. So as you can hear now, the volume even increased a lot more without the track being distorted. So this is a pretty simple trick to make sure that you can really crank up the volume of your track. So basically make sure that this frequency over here between 100 and 200 Hertz is lowered down a little bit. So in which case you can crank up the rest of the volume. You can pretty much leave this the same. You can actually, if you want to, even increase the bass a little bit in this section. It's the lowered frequencies. Perhaps top it off a little bit over here. So now the track still has a lot of bass line to it, but it's not gonna conflict when mastering a track. So you're gonna make sure that without distorting, the track is mastered in the highest possible volume there pretty much is. So this is pretty much how I master a track. So today, was the second episode where I explained a lot more about how to master a track. So sometimes it's something you would like to do by a different company, but I've always said the best way to do it is to do it yourself. So I showed you a few tricks, a few plugins I use to master a track, how to EQ a track. So that's the second episode. Next episode, I'm gonna treat you to how to build a melody. Also for the people who don't actually know how to play a piano, I'm going to show you how to make a melody anyway. So that's going to be for next time. And again, if you have any questions, you can drop me an email at social@sandervandoorn.com. So I will see you guys next time.